How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Ed.
What's so funny? Why is everyone laughing?
Mod Ed.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Tom H.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. Before we get into the questions today, we have some exciting stuff to go through first. First and foremost, we had some of our biggest streamers, influencers as we call them, streamers and video makers over this past couple of days. They got to test content like the Inferno and Fossil Island. Some really amazing feedback we got from them. Definitely a worthwhile visit. It was a great time.
So helpful, like to actually see players take it on and see their approach, having no idea what the content is going to be like. It's so different to the way like someone in our team can, knowing every single mechanic and how it all works. So
yeah,
yep, so valuable, and it's allowed us to make a number of tweaks to the whole part of the whole content, and it's all so much better for it.
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to do, because I was organizing this trip, was a JMod versus streamer thing. And I was thinking, Castle Wars is fun. But then realistically, and let's speak realistically, we're not going to stand much a chance against guys who can play 10 hours a day. Well, we work on the game for 9 hours a day. We don't go home to then play it, so no, we're not experts at playing the game. I play the game a little bit in my spare time, but realistically, we're no match. That unfortunately did get pushed back, so apologies there. We didn't get to do that. One thing we did do, however, that I got to sneak in was the trivia. That was literally organized 8:30 a.m. Before they got there at 10 a.m., so I had like no time. Unfortunately, there were a couple bumps. I want to improve that and bring a better one, hopefully, to RuneFest. We have some chats going on right now, potentially even involving the crowd, as well as the streamers again. So look at a new and improved version of that trivia, potentially coming in the future. Excited for that. That being said, speaking of Inferno, exciting times. We have some announcements to make in regards to the prizes. So, when we launch the Inferno June 1st, we're going to give prizes to the first, second, and third player to complete the Inferno, that is. So, first prize, you're going to get an in real life Infernal Cape, Q-Mod Stone.
Looking beautiful.
Hey.
That looks so good.
How does it look when you twerk?
Don't do that.
Come on, I want some sweeping action. I want it to swirl it.
Sweep it.
Give us a twirl.
Sweep.
Happy now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. All right. So you get the Infernal Cape. You're also going to get a RuneFest ticket, including the night before party, travel expenses covered by us, and lifetime membership. It's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah.
That is a sick
so
prize.
exciting.
That was my idea. They were like, what more can we throw on? I'm like, lifetime membership. That is such a great thing to give away.
Yeah, so those that are ha-haing at a real life cape, there's some good prizes there too, other than the cape. So
Lifetime membership. I knew it, dude. They're going nuts over that. I would go crazy over that. I already have it, but anyways.
I mean, just being able to hang that cape out, it's something cool that you can be proud of.
So second place. We don't forget second and third. Also going to get lifetime membership, RuneFest ticket, night before party, travel expenses, just no Infernal Cape. Unfortunately, we've only got one. Third place gets the lifetime membership and RuneFest ticket minus the travel costs. Still extremely exciting prizes, I'm sure.
How long do you think it'll take for those three people to be named and finish it?
I mean, realistically speaking, the streamers, as good as they were, and we did give them limited time. I'm sure if we gave them more time, they would have gotten farther. They didn't stand a chance against the Inferno, right? We showed how far each of them got in our tweets.
I spent most of the afternoon just trying the final boss.
Yeah.
Never mind the rest of it, just the final boss. Me and Jed were just going in. Ronan was as well, just going in at the final wave again and again. Obviously, you guys can't even do that, so we're sat there just practicing the final boss. And it is tough, real tough, without revealing anything. But I'm so excited to see people actually take that on properly.
Yeah.
Hype for it.
So when do you think the first person's going to complete it then?
It's hard to predict. It is so difficult to predict. But I'm gonna guess that single digits number of people have done it by the first few days. Mm-hmm. I think that's reasonable.
That's fair. Yeah, that's quite fair. Of course, people asking the streamers, though, that yes, they'd have an advantage by coming here getting to play it. They will not be allowed to win those prizes. Unlucky, but they knew what they were signing up for. All right, let's move into the questions. Then we do have another announcement to make at the end of the stream. Equally exciting. Stay tuned for that. First question, Please Move North says, can the Elite clue table be reworked so it feels like it's between the Hard and Masters drop tables?
I'm sure it can be looked at and reworked a little bit if that's necessary. Do you think it's the junk table on it or the actual unique stuff?
Probably the junk.
Yeah,
I think the number of steps in an elite clue is a bit off-putting as well.
That is another
I think our former colleague was feeling harsh when he chose that number, and we can choose a different number.
It's an elite, so to make it hard, you just make more steps.
It's quite a bit more
That's roughly
difficult
where he went, yes.
for us to add in more uniques, so new items to the game, rather than just taking away some of the worst items.
Well, we've done a clue score update in 2014 and 15 and 16. You never know.
Speaking of elites, like, legitimately on that point, how would people actually feel about reducing the steps to more like, I'm not sure how many, 6 to 7 or so? Like a more reasonable amount?
Let's actually straw poll that one.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, because
It's come up a fair
so
few
frustrating
times.
how long they take sometimes.
So we're going to try to get a straw poll in the chat for you guys. Would you like to reduce the amount of steps required for the elite clue scrolls?
They're saying yes a lot, but it's rather hard to tell what the question was.
I can't remember which way I proposed the question. If yes is the answer, I'm
We didn't know the
or
results
not.
for this, but we'll try to get that straw poll in the chat for you guys momentarily.
They want something.
Right. Moving on to the next question then, while we wait for that. There's quite a bit of commotion on Reddit, actually for quite a while now, not even just today, saying give us an opt-in 3-day delay on the Authenticator to be removed or opt-in prompt to enter bank pin before dropping/trading items. RS3 has this feature, why not Old School?
The Authenticator Delay, this is something that the player support team have been looking into. It's something that involves web teamwork as well. It's on the list of something they want to look at, as they've seen from the community that the people want that feature. But it's a big job. It's just not being worked on quite yet.
I have the
hopefully
response
sometime.
actually
Oh, do you?
from Mud Infinity. He covered this yesterday. It's a longer response. I'll try to summarize. Essentially says that it isn't as easy as simply adding a delay with a few lines of code. There are a few other things we need to take into account too, but we are listening. Obviously not something that they're just forgetting about. When we have an update, hopefully this summer, we'll share with you, being a text-based post that is, not an actual feature update. At present, players can secure their accounts if they have a strong enough password. Don't share their accounts/details. Use the Authenticator and also make sure their registered email has two-factor authentication. So with all those means enabled, you're pretty much unhackable. Well, you know, don't be foolish with your personal details, basically. But realistically speaking, it is something we're keeping in mind, and we don't have an ETA, unfortunately. That being said, the second thing, Ash actually had something interesting to say there.
Well, it's perhaps not news to some of them, but in terms of making you enter your PIN before you're allowed to drop items, RS3 has had a lot of trade restrictions added to it over the years. Remember what happened at the end of 2007? That means they've got trade restriction infrastructure that they can tie into quite easily, which is not available to us. Now, obviously, we could write that kind of thing, but there's still the question of what to do with PvP areas. Our game has a wilderness where people occasionally, well, do PvP and PK each other for profit. It's been known to happen. And if we say that you can't, you know, lose items on death to other players until you've entered your PIN, suddenly killing you in the wilderness is not going to be worth very much. Now, obviously, we could just say, you can't go in the wilderness, can't hop over the ditch till you've entered your PIN. Of course, at that point, what happens if you go in the wilderness and log out? Because although you might have your bank PIN locked so that it leaves you, unlocked over logouts for short logouts if you come from the same IP address and computer, if you don't enable that option, then logging out briefly locks your PIN, at which point you're in the wilderness but we can't drop your items. So do we teleport you out the wilderness to a place of safety? I see that being really quite convenient if you get something nice in the wilderness, or you mine a runite rock or something, you just relog and now you're, I don't know, in Lumbridge or something near a bank, and you don't have to worry about getting your loot home without being PK'd. Alternatively, we could try to, teleport you out of the wilderness to a sort of limbo tile, a place of safety. This means limbo tile, and leave you there till you enter your PIN, and you can't do anything else except enter your PIN and then get put back in the wilderness. But that doesn't work very well for us for a whole bunch of reasons. Like, there's places in the wilderness where if you get teleported out and teleported back in again, there'll be side effects that try to run on you that shouldn't if you're coming back in, or that don't run on you when they need to, like around the major arena. That really mess it up. I'm afraid, since we have PvP areas, in fact PvP worlds, you log out and then again in one of those, you get teleported straight to a bank then, do you? That would just not feel right at all. I don't think we can stop you discarding your items to other players with a bank pin check like this.
There's spam in the chat saying bank pin on login. Is that possible?
For the engine team, perhaps. It's not something we can build into the login screen because for the moment the login screen is built into the engine. Also, to be honest, between your password and the authenticator, you shouldn't really need yet another thing because the bank pin, it's reasonably vulnerable to some of the same things that could pick up your password. So entering your password at that point and entering your PIN at that point, some piece of spyware could probably get both at the same time, at which point you haven't really gained anything, and in fact you might have lost something. So I think asking the engine team to make that happen when you can already use the authenticator and have two-step protection on your email account so people can't just get into that behind your back, you shouldn't really be needing the bank pin there as well. And like I say, it wouldn't help you very much if it did.
On a similar topic, there's often people asking questions about the fake Twitch streams. Unfortunately, we don't work at Twitch. We cannot simply remove a stream, though it is in our category. We can't simply say delete. So when you see a fake Twitch stream, somebody saying, oh, I'm quitting the game, click the link below to find out more, and then they ask for your details, obviously don't give them that. The only thing we can do, and the only thing that you can do to make it go faster, is simply report the stream. So
Twitch is being very obliging about getting shot of those when they are reported to Twitch.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Questions. Elliot says, can you add a deposit all option to the private chest in raids, please? Also, make it deposit all in the correct order your inventory was in.
I think it's probably doable,
Yeah.
but
You want to put the whole inventory in there?
well, you'd have to check for everything that can be stored in the private, and
It's accustomed to that at least.
yeah. I mean,
We just nab the code that's doing it for actual banks and
Yeah.
adapt it for the restrictions on a raids chest.
Okay, nice.
We could have done it before, but back in January we'd done quite a lot of raids jobs week after week after week, and people who weren't into raids were starting to feel that they were being a little left out when we spent every update doing more raids things. So we left raids to one side for a little bit, but we can certainly do this.
Cool. We do have the results back from that straw poll offering to lower the amount of steps required for elite clue scrolls, sitting at 89% yes. Be that Twitch straw poll, that's obviously some pretty strong support.
It's a really easy one to fix as well.
Okay, moving on. Let's actually grab them from the chat then. Slayer requirement for brutal black dragons.
None of the coloured dragons have Slayer requirements. None of the metal dragons have Slayer requirements. So I don't think it really fits. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, if there's an issue that people feel the drop table's too powerful, or the brutal black dragons are too easy to kill for what they are, then that's, I think, where we target it, rather than by adding a requirement that doesn't make sense.
Certainly they're not as damaging as they might be.
Yeah.
Given the things you can take to them with you. But also, they're a bit crowded because of that.
Yeah.
So I can see the interest in a Slayer requirement, because that was the players with high-level Slayer. I'm sure many of them are doing the talking here, will be delighted to find that only they can get the Black Dragons in future. For that matter, it was suggested we could have put a few in the Tavli expansion that we launched recently. I'm not sure whether the brutality of the Black Dragons comes from the Catacomb in the same way that it warps all the other creatures that are in there. But we could, since there's brutal green dragons elsewhere, we don't have to lock brutal to the Catacombs. And I think there's a fair bit more space around that Tavli expansion if we need it. Because I cleared the entire map square that was to the west of the existing areas.
All right.
It does actually have a couple of tiles to be Arhine's crate still in there, but that doesn't matter.
Moving on, Slayer Hype says, can we get a peek option in the Monkey Madness 2 cave to see if anyone is in there?
Already on the list of future polls.
There you go. Iron Base says, can we allow normal players to enter an Iron Man's home? I want to show off my crib.
Beautifully put.
send a screenshot.
So we don't let Iron Men use benefits of other players' homes.
Yeah.
But what if I'm an Ironman and I've created stuff that I would let other people use those benefits?
I don't inherently see an issue with other players going around Ironman.
There wouldn't be one. It's just there were so many things in a POH that could end up being beneficial that we felt it was safer and less likely to lead to very bad
I mean,
bugs
they
in
could,
future.
light the Gilded Altar, for example.
There'd be that. There'd be... there's just things where you could give a benefit, and there might be more things in the future which we would have a risk of forgetting to put Ironman checks on. Yeah, that one actually does have one, just in case somebody does get in. Same with Deadman, actually. It says if you want to give them a tip in Deadman mode, tell them how to die less. It was safer to leave it out. I appreciate we could have tried to catch everything and hope like heck we do catch everything and hope like heck we don't forget anything in future. But that's really not the kind of risk we like taking if we can avoid it.
Yeah, you're Iron Man, you stand alone, you live alone.
I think it does have a
Lonely
fairly
existence.
bleak message saying that Iron people stand alone and do not go round to their mates' houses or do not have their mates come round to visit or something like
Do
that.
they just do they sit alone as well? Lie alone? Sleep alone? I don't know.
That's kind of ironic if we do end up doing group Ironman.
Well, we took fatigue out of the game back in, 03.
The guy spamming review the straw poll, we already did. 89% yes. You can stop spamming. Next question. Skillspec says, what did the Murner who didn't... Oh, sorry, this was a question from last week we didn't get to. There was a Murner who didn't have facial expressions. We added a patch note saying we added facial expressions to a Murner who didn't have them. What did that look like? I believe I was speaking to Mod Wolf about this, and he said it wasn't as entertaining as you might think. It was just a chat head that didn't move.
Yeah, that's all it is. The chat head just doesn't move. If we showed a screenshot of it,
It
you wouldn't be
looks
able
like
to tell.
it looks like any other screenshot.
Yeah,
of the chat
basically
message, right?
like that.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I wonder how long you can hold it for.
What are you doing?
We were seeing if we could break Ash's little...
He's trying to reboot me.
Manuel says, can we please see the level up flashing icon come back to old school? It's easy to miss combat levels because you get hit by the monster once you level.
Kieran and I were having a chat about how to do that one the other day. We've got some better data handling code available to us than we used to have, which is a good start for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do it to do the update where we basically rewrite the infrastructure behind the skill guides. We won't have to change the look of the skill guides in any way, but that way, then it's all stored in a nice format where we can then say, if you've leveled up, that's flashing. Click on it, and it'll show. You can bring up, and it'll tell you what you've just unlocked.
I could just see that being, a week and a bit's worth of data entry and recoding of things to get you the benefit of that flashing level up thing that was described, which is nice to have. Heck, we'd like it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not a lot of win for that much dev time.
Surprisingly, a lot of people saying no. I always really enjoyed, getting a level, at least the significant ones, and having the flashy fireworks and just the acknowledgement. But
I was finding it annoying to have to go and click.
that's only the beginning levels, right? Up to like 50. Then they start coming a bit slower and you don't have to be so...
You should have a toggle.
Togglescape.
Okay, well.
Moving
Moving on.
It stopped flashing after about 20 seconds anyway on those that you probably didn't want it.
It's something for when we've got a bit more time available to us.
Ed Hicks says, since the Fire Max Cape is not being removed, will it be possible to combine an Infernal Cape with a Fire Max Cape to get an Infernal Max Cape?
Isn't it a max fire
No,
cape?
this is a bad one. I don't care. Who named it? Hang on. Who named it the Fire Max Cape? Because it should be the Max Fire Cape.
I don't know, whoever
This
made
is another
it.
question for another time. But
Unfortunately, you will not be able to do that. You'll have to buy a new skill kit.
Ooh.
A new max skill
get
kit.
maxed anyways. You can afford it. Moving on. Milk says, can the Hardcore Ironman High Scores page have the ability to only show Hardcore Ironmen that are alive?
It shows the ones that are dead by the little skull icon, at least. But I guess people would like to see what rank they are of the alive Hardcore Ironman.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the web team can do it, but
Web
They
dollars
have
are not
a-
easy to come by.
They have a whole other list of things they've got to prioritize.
Some from us.
including that other thing we just mentioned earlier about delayed authenticator, and that's behind other projects. Though I mean, the web team's only so big, and pretty much everyone in the company needs their time at some point, so it's difficult.
All right. Wildbee says, can the Ectovile automatically refill after teleporting without the need to step backwards a few squares to refill?
I'm going to step in here and say, no. This is too far. That is the definition of easy. It is part of the RuneScape experience that you forget to refill your Ectovile as a noob and then have to walk all the way back to Mauritania from the nearest teleport spot of Varrock as a noob. Yes.
Yeah.
Kieran has spoken. There you go.
Yeah.
Just use the thing on the thing, right?
Or in fact, don't click and the thing uses itself on the thing.
Does it already does it?
It does do it
It already does
automatically
it.
for
So
you.
what are you asking for?
It does it automatically.
Sometimes
If you
they
click
run away
big quickly.
so keenly that
Yeah.
they manage
Yeah,
to stop it
it
doing
does it
so.
automatically unless you click away. You know? I've never had that issue. Maybe I'm just a bit more patient, but
I don't know. I think we've hit
have.
a nerve with Kieran. Look at him sitting over there.
How many times did you
raging
do
like-
that?
Certainly, as for the bit where they like it to do it without them stepping back to the fountain to actually fill the thing, they just like it to become full magically. This does feel.
so what they want is they want an eternal Ectovile, so they never have to worry ever again.
It's triggering bad memories, Chris. Because once
Let's move on.
I
before
once died by
Somebody
so
move us on.
back in the day as a noob, my emergency teleport. I was too cheap for tablets, or I was too noob. I didn't know tablets existed, and I used Ectovile as my instant tally. Right, I was gonna die at some. I can't remember where I was. I think Calphite Queen. I ectoed, right, teleported to the ecto, started running at the bank. I'm poisoned on low health. I die near the bank. Didn't refill my ecto, so obviously I lost out of death anyway. And then I was sprinting back to Port Phasmartis, not realizing I could get the ship, and lost all my stuff. So, yeah.
Was this last week?
This is 2000, I mean, this was 2007. Like,
All right. Moving on. One Lucky says, can players with 200 million experience in combat stats and Ironman get fake experience drops in player versus player so they aren't at a disadvantage?
I did suggest to one of our colleagues that he might be able to put in a subsystem for doing fake drops, even though you're not gaining the XP. Unfortunately, the project he was on at the time did not allow him to investigate that, but I reckon it could be done.
it'd be really
So
nice.
for those who were asking, if you have 200 million experience in combat stats, you don't get XP drops.
The XP drops show you gaining XP. If you're not gaining XP, they don't show you gaining XP. But we might be able to fake it so that they do.
All right. Dirk says, allow players to store more clue items in their player-owned house without needing the whole set first.
Oh, no.
I think we've had this one a few times. The answer remains that due to the way it's storing the data at the moment, it's remembering, yes, you've got the whole set, or no, you don't have the whole set. To make it remember, you've got this bit and that bit, but not that bit, means basically delete the whole thing, recreate the whole thing, and make damn sure that all the people who've got them stored already end up with their new data showing the same as the old data, which is not going to be straightforward. Might be a while before we can offer anything like that.
I think Tom's like, I don't want to test that.
No, I've been.
Oh, but he would if we wrote it.
Yeah, I've been looking in the construction code for things like that recently. I'm just like, no, if that has to have a variable for every single piece of every single thing you can store, just no.
I hate even just
No.
plugging stuff into it now.
Yeah.
So
One in the chat there for you, Kieran.
drop rates of raids. Right, I said on Twitter last week, I promised the raids drop rate sometime between Wednesday and Friday this week, right? Midnight, on Wednesday, 7 people instantly tweet me. Come on, it's Wednesday, where's the raids drop rate? It's like, it's the middle of the night, I'm at home in bed.
Just wait till, you got kids or something and it's midnight Christmas Eve or something.
So, basically, it'll be tomorrow, at some point tomorrow, right? And because of all the tweets, it's going to be 23:59 on Friday.
Yeah, the more you tweet Kieran, the later you get the drop
every
rates.
time you tweet him, it gets delayed by 5 minutes.
Although it might get earlier again if you retweet all the things Kieran tweets.
That's how it works, right? No,
Although we can give them one raid's drop rate now. Every raid where you get to the end has a drop of something, unless you got 0 points.
1 and 1.
Yeah, 100% drop
It
rate.
may not be one of the unique things you wanted. It might be you come out with some coal, but you get something unless you count with 0 points. That's your raid's drop rate for you.
Leaked.
whoa, mind blown. No, tomorrow, at some point I'll get them out tomorrow. I haven't had a chance the last 2 days, but tomorrow I will make sure.
Follow him on Twitter at JagixKieran.
All right, moving on. Smithy, we might have an image for this one. Smithy says, suggestion. Since 100% Shazian favor is devalued by the more convenient Lizardman Shaman location, can we add this new potion? Requires 80 Herblore, 100% Shazian favor, costs 20 Lizardman Fangs and an antidote potion, creating the Antiacid Potion, which protects you from the Lizardman Shaman's acid attacks.
Is the potion tradable?
Doesn't say, I don't think.
How many antidotes do you have?
I mean, it'd be quite powerful because it means you have freedom to use whatever gear you want against the shamans if you're fighting them.
Yeah, because it's the armor that protects you from that particular
So it would
attack.
protect you from their attacks for how long?
Relatively short period, I'd say.
Is this like an anti-fire potion or?
It may
don't
be the
know.
material, they're not loving it.
Yeah.
I think it's too powerful. I mean, obviously you need 100% you need 100% Shazian favor to get the armor. So if you want to use that against them,
Yeah.
if that's the aim to help with 100% favor, this sort of already helped.
Okay. What if people saying untradeable?
Yeah, lots of
2 minutes
shouts
per
of
dose?
OP. No, I don't think it's...
It would certainly mean that they never had to get that Shazian armor ever again, which means they would not have much point in getting 100 favour unless they wanted to start doing the Herblore themselves.
Yeah.
I think they don't all want to do that.
Something maybe worth considering if I don't know, rebalanced. But a lot of people are very concerned, and then there's so many people obviously very passionately saying, please give me that. So
Is there something we could do to make the Lizardman Shaman in the Shazian battlefield better than the other ones?
Well, what I'd suggest for that is, you know, all those dungeon entrances that don't lead into dungeons?
Yeah.
We offer to create a task-only dungeon under there with some more shamans in it, in return for which the two on the surface will move into it.
people saying
How about
fix
that?
the safe spot.
That would also achieve the same thing, because in the dungeon we'd have better control of the room layout and could avoid safe spots if players didn't mind it being kind of rectangular.
There you go. The please don't fix that. I use that.
Yes, I'm sure. So if players would accept the addition of a task-only dungeon of some sort, and we move those two shamans into it, that might cover all these birds with one big stone.
It seems to have more
That's an
support
interesting
than the potion, definitely.
Okay.
Maybe straw poll that.
So what? Straw poll the
A task-only dungeon for...
With those two moved into it.
straw poll task only Lizardman Shamans. People listening have a good idea of what we've been talking about. That'll be in the chat for you guys momentarily. Moving on to the next question then. Khan says, can the Winter Todd get a static respawn timer instead of a random every time?
I added this to the list of things to do because I can't remember why we did it, to be honest.
Well, it's not an NPC respawning in the usual way, so it doesn't obey the usual NPC respawn rules. But I think the idea was that the Winter Todd randomly gains in power and dwindles in power, and the Magi try to respond to what it's doing to keep it in check. But no, we could get rid of that and have the Winter Todd become nice and regular, like it's been eating its fibre.
Because
Especially given we've got the timer on screen and everything.
it can be quite annoying.
Tiny
Like
lights and
sometimes you only get 30 seconds, which if you need to go bank is not enough time. And other times you get about a minute 30 and you just sat there like...
I get the idea that the Winter Todd was meant to, come and go, and it's a force of nature which you cannot naturally predict. But maybe it didn't need to be quite that unpredictable.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can change that.
East side, best side.
Get
Gallup
out.
says, a few streams back, you guys spoke of making the Tears of Guthix less random by making the flows have a minimum stay time until they changed. Any update on this?
There's many things that we'd like to do and could do, but we are not going to be able to do every single one of them. That's what we haven't done. Sorry.
There's a lot of that lately. It's unfortunate, but
Well,
there
if the players send 1,000 great ideas every day, and we can maybe deliver 1.5, that is going to happen.
But in a Q&A stream, we'll often ask these ideas from the community. We'll say, yeah, that's a great idea. And then next week they'll say, you said it was a great idea, where is it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are actually already in a suggestions backlog that we go through, but then obviously we do a poll, and when we do a poll, everyone expects everything out within a week of the poll, so we try and prioritise that. And then
our list has hundreds of things on it, and more are getting added every day. And every time we do a poll, we do about 20 questions or so, varying a bit depending on how much time we've got.
Twitch players might suggest, well, why don't you just do a poll of that size every week, then there'll be more of them. Of course, that doesn't quite work, because having polled it, we then have to have time to program it and test it, and I'm sure you wouldn't want it rushed.
But we are hiring for a new content developer, which
we are,
may help.
Yes, Kieran and I want more buddies.
We have cheese and donuts. It's not all bad.
Jagex.com/careers, I believe.
Apparently, we have Lucasade.
Sell out.
On that point as well, like, a lot of the devs currently are working on big projects. I'm working on the Inferno, and Maz is working on also the Fossil Island. You're working on the world map, so there's such limited time to be able to actually dedicate currently to some of the smaller stuff. But
All right.
that's why we're hiring.
We've got the results back.
The Lucasade isn't actually free anyway, is it? We're certainly not getting it from Lucasade.
The results back from that straw poll, sorry, was 79% saying yes to task-only Lizardmen Shamans. That's interesting.
And for those players who maybe didn't notice why the task-only thing came up, it's because if we offer a dungeon under there, and some task-only ones might come in handy for people on assignment, because crashing has been a thing with the Shamans, it would be a very good opportunity to get players to agree that the two on the surface could be moved into it, which is what more of you wanted, I think.
Does this mean we'll have yet another member of Neve's massive family?
They do seem to. And
Does Neve's family extend us there?
By moving them in there, they wouldn't necessarily have safe spots.
Yeah, I was
Which
just
is
going to
what,
say.
of course, you were talking about.
Yeah, all the people who are saying poll removing the safe spot.
We kind of just did straw poll that, and you guys seem to be up for it.
All right, next question. Silenty says, can we have the ability to create stash tracker in player-owned house like the one found in Zaya?
Basically, another copy of the notice board, I guess. Yes.
Perfectly doable, yeah.
Nice. Can you make the fairy bank tellers first click be bank instead of talk to in Xenaris?
That bank has a few chests in it, I think. And I think I've got it before and accidentally clicked on a chest thinking it's a bank chest, so I need to find... Nope. So we could turn them into bank chests.
Yeah, then they have a left click.
That's easy. Starbuck says, can raids have a jar drop that can be used in player-owned house? Nice to see a big Olm in the display cabinet.
Jar of Xeric.
The problem is, now that we've got that thing, it takes more graphics time to make a jar. So it's...
I'll make the jar.
The jar's not the problem.
Make the model for the...
Thanks, well done.
Yes,
it's the model in the POH is the problem.
I will take...
But I really
Never
like
mind.
jars. I really like jars, and I'm sure we can find a gap in the schedule at some point. Like, we've got Mod Ryan now.
We have.
With 3 hands. We should have more skills
has
for
3
some of these
hands.
things. The last time I counted it was only 2, but...
That sounded awesome.
Where are we at here? Zeropia says, can we see a buff to Ents? Drop table, please.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I know
generous
we already doubled the wilderness ones, didn't we?
Didn't we then offer to remove the wilderness ones or something?
I think
Yes,
so.
that was pulled a while back.
Yes, how did that go?
Awfully.
Okay.
Are they a Slayer task?
But
Yeah.
if Crystalia's got them,
Crystalia does have them, so... Maybe on Slayer task you get better logs.
All right.
eat your fibre.
Starbuck says, what's going to replace the Inferno in Zaya since it's been moved to the Tsar City?
Don't think we have any plans for that area, but I'm sure we'll come up with something one day, or
I'm sure
someone else
will draw
will.
a map on Reddit at some point and tell us what should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Does a content developer need to have coding skills? Well, the job
No,
is...
you just need to be really good at memeing. That's all it needs.
Now, obviously we don't necessarily... Obviously the whole job is coding, right? So this is very helpful when you apply for a content developer job. But that said, if you have the right skill set that doesn't mean it's impossible for you to be a content developer. With us, I mean, RuneScript is not available externally. If you're someone who could pick that up very easily, perhaps it can still work. Well, it'll give you an advantage to have had some previous experience, that's for sure.
You did maths at uni, I did science. Neither of us did a whole lot of programming necessarily as part of that.
Yeah.
Certainly we didn't come from another company where we were programming. But we've been able to pick it up without too much trouble going through the QA route.
Coming from a similar field is obviously very helpful, though. I mean, if you got the right way to think about these problems and any exposure to programming at all is helpful.
Well, even if you haven't done it before, there's so many ways you can learn that sort of thing now. It's so readily available that if you are interested in becoming a content developer, then go find out how to code.
For that matter, coming in through the QA team hasn't been too bad either. You came as a QA tester. I got moved from customer support up to QA back in 2004. And you sit there, you see buggy code, fixed code, you know what the bug was. It's amazing what you can learn from that.
And you do. Something I'm sure you all know about tap time and personal project time. Every 2 weeks we have a full day dedicated so that you can just work on whatever you like. And in QA you can just sit and learn to code if you want. And you can progress from there very easily.
Also, ModNaz teaches people.
Yeah.
But it does help if you've got, if you can put on your application why you might actually be capable of this. Like if you've been doing something completely utterly irrelevant and you've never gone near a computer. Firstly, what are you watching this on? Secondly, we might prioritise some other applicant who's got a background that sounds more like they might be a good coder. Like someone who has been programming before, or somebody who's got a degree in something that sounds relevant. But it's not a fixed requirement.
Right. Let's move on to the next question then. Hellchild says, how does the raid potion points cap work? It seems especially for larger raids it caps much earlier even before entering Ulm. Some players make all the overloads to cap points, while the other players who make the brews/restores, which are used in larger quantities in Ulm and through the raid, get no points.
It depends basically off who's going into the raid and that kind of thing. So a bigger raid will have a higher cap, but not necessarily so much higher that they could grind Herblore all day in there for lots and lots and lots of points. It could perhaps be a little higher for a bigger party than it is.
Okay.
Let's check how much capacity we've got in there.
Image again, I think, here. iDrink says, can we add a right-click craft to furnaces? There he goes.
Very well edited.
He's added in a craft. Look at that.
Nicely done.
Well, if he can do it, we can do it.
Can we do it on Paint as well? Or?
Well, we could make that picture on Paint and tweet it, yeah. We could also give them what I think he's asking for there.
Yeah, it's awkward, I think, for that to be just a user interaction, I think.
Well, at the moment, you can be using a silver bar on it or a gold bar on it, or possibly limestone.
The molds might work, I don't know.
Well, if we turn all the things all the bars you could be using onto it, we could turn them into a menu that's got all those things on.
Absolutely.
Might be nice if we were doing it as part of a big make all update, if we had time to do one of those. Sorry, that's a pretty big one too. And it was basically world map or, well, frankly, even that's bigger than the world map. We wouldn't be able to fit it in where the world maps come. So, yeah, no comparison.
Why when we put it on the poll, we said, look, we don't have time to do this soon, but we want to know what you think about it. And now we know we can try and find a gap in the schedule to offer that. And
it's going to help when we got that vacancy filled that we're recruiting for.
Definitely.
All right. Jack says, can we have another Slayer boss? A lot of suggestions have been made for a gargoyle boss on the roof of the Slayer Tower.
I'd love to see that, and I think most of us here would love to see it. But
Mod Ghost been...
He designed one in his spare time for fun.
So we may already have a design lying around somewhere.
It's more just what would you like to see come from it, as we're running out of ideas. So attach an idea to that.
Appropriate.
Yeah, and if the community likes it,
I would personally like to offer the Tier 75 defensive boots that you combine with Bando's boots.
Okay.
I remember it was an old suggestion. They call it like rhinoceros boots or something.
Yeah.
Whatever we call them, but like an attachment to Bender's boots with heavily defensive stats. I mean, that makes sense from the Granite
Strictly
boss. And,
defensive stats. Yeah.
but I love this idea. I love Slayer bosses. I think they're really cool content that allows you to change up the way you train Slayer and get to do something else. And they're restrictive because you can only do them on tasks. So
We've set the bar
It's
pretty
exciting.
high, of course, with the Abyssal Sire and Cerberus, but we do like working on that kind of thing.
yeah,
I think it was the graphics assets we wouldn't have had time to get if he's doing the Inferno,
yeah.
but he won't be on that for much more time.
We
Of course,
also
he's got
have
some frontline
done
stuff to do.
a lot of Slayer stuff recently, so it might be worth having a break from that before moving on to something else Slayer related.
Yeah, the Uber Granite Maul that goes backwards in time with its attacks instead of just trying them quickly. Fires them retrospectively.
Well, Coximus says, could we please see an update to the Magic Skill Cape perk? It currently offers a spellbook change once per day, and this comes in useful for various teleports, but it's still a problem having to change back to the original spellbook. 3 changes per day would be a great option, or the possibility of a cooldown period of an hour.
I think that sounds fairly
How about,
reasonable.
what if we could upgrade the limit? What if we put in a restriction that you can't use it in the wilderness or PvP
Oh,
worlds?
that's where it's like most fun though.
I know.
You teleblock and then get in.
But I mean, that's the issue. It isn't like an infinite limit or
Yeah.
even a high one. I mean, maybe 3 and it's still usable in PvP would be all right. But
I like how there's a lot of yes and there's a lot of no coming up. That's a little unusual, and it might be one for straw poll. I'm
I
just
like-
curious.
I like the hourly limit, personally.
that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Because that can't be spammed, obviously. Something to hang on to.
Yeah.
Moving on, where are we at here? Add canoe trees and stop along the river. Oh, sorry, this is an image. So this guy wants canoe trees and stops along the river in Zaya, as you can see there.
Ooh.
There's dragon axes and a bunch of yellow text.
Beautifully illustrated.
I have no idea what the canoe code is like or how portable it is to add a new version of it.
It's pretty legacy, putting it politely.
I know the interface isn't exactly.
A lot of support for
Has
that.
a lot of weird behaviour.
Well, the thing is, if we were porting it to work in 2 sets of rivers, then we might be able to improve it somewhat on the way through. Just wouldn't be all that quick.
I do like it though.
Very
I think canoes
popular
are cool.
suggestion.
Yes.
There's also they came up a while ago for Ardy as well.
Yeah, I've
The
seen
Ardy river.
suggestions.
And how many
using
point in the boat?
Other rivers,
Actually,
yeah.
I tidied up that code a fair bit when I was installing new hatchets a while back.
Awesome.
So it's not quite as bad as it was. It's just a little confusing.
I would love to add a few more canoe spots
Yeah.
around the game.
All right, another
see it?
image with this next one. It might be the best suggestion of the stream. Jar of Tears. Dropped after 200 kill count dry-in raids.
Yeah, I loved seeing this.
See, I thought you were going to be serious when you said this is a good suggestion, and it was the best suggestion of the stream.
I like this one.
And you were. So so I thought you were going to say at first that you get some tears of Guthix after you get.
That's another meme.
So what do you get in your player and house like display case if you have a jar of tears? What appears in there?
A player.
2 fingers raised at you.
An aggressive player.
Hexus.
Moving on.
Salt crystals.
Galaxy Bomb says, could you please fix the clipping issue found within the submerged cavern of the demonic gorillas? Depending on what wall you're facing, it can be almost impossible to see the boulder attack due to the wall taking priority over everything else.
I'm not sure how much control we have over that. I don't suppose you've ever had gone in there.
I think it's caused by the fact that it uses link below or vis below.
We had
whichever one
a
it is.
lot of problems like that in the catacombs. We did manage to get rid of most of them in the end, but I don't think we'd ever get rid of all of them.
If Mod Ghost was able to do it for a lot of them, maybe he'd be able to turn his talents to this one.
It's worth having a look at, but I don't actually know whereabouts this one is.
Well, you know where you go and fight the boss in the quest?
Whereabouts in the dungeon, though?
Well, after you've done the quest, you can go in there again and go up to an upper level where there's some more demonic
I might hop into game later and see if I can find it.
Yeah.
There's an upper level anyway with some green steps leading up
See
to
if we
it.
can look into doing something about it.
Definitely. Why do you keep spamming catacombs in the chat? Like, how else do you say
Because I
it?
say catacombs, as do the
Oh, you
rest
say
of the
catacombs.
North Americans.
Okay. Catacomb.
Yeah.
Right. Another image. This should be the last one. Baratho says, can we get a new item to upgrade the Trident so we can store more charges? Water Birth Crystal being dropped by the Wallasalkis.
That's a nice attempt.
Added to the Trident to store 10k charges. Cannot be made into the Toxic Trident.
I really love the idea of adding something to Wallasalkis because I think they're such cool monsters.
What did you just say?
Wallasalki.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good. But the Trident having a higher cap with this, I don't think that's... I think we can just increase the cap. Did we already?
No, we were trying to work out
We were
what happened to
going to.
somebody who'd got a half-charged Trident when the update came out, and
Fair enough, yeah.
whether we'd end up with a situation where you've used 50 charges on it, and you take your runes out, it currently gives you most of what you put back in. If we suddenly increase the cap and it remembers you've used 50 so far, would it give you a lot more runes back when the update came out? We'd have to handle that situation, and when we didn't want to commit to it until we were confident enough that it was going to work out without massively duping runes.
I think we can do something.
I think there'd be a spare bit on it to help us do something if we had to.
But I wouldn't really say that should come from an extra drop rather than just doing it because it's...
Really?
On the other hand, if they're willing to do some really hard work and kill awkward creatures, I don't have a problem with letting them.
Also, the fact it wouldn't be able to be toxic either doesn't help.
Okay. Trick says, allow quests which require multiple people like SOA and Heroes quests to be completable with one person. Possibly a paid option which requires you to recruit an NPC.
Those quests are very hated.
I think they've done something like that in RS3.
RS3 did change it recently.
Are
I
you
don't
trying
know
to persuade them
what the
for or
change
against?
was.
No, I'm saying we could potentially use a similar design.
I think this is one of those things that, yes, a lot of people find it frustrating because it's not straightforward to find a partner, but it is part of old school.
That's the thing.
Like doing Shield of Arrow,
Shield of Arrow
one of
in
your first
particular,
quests,
yeah.
and getting your friend to do it with you, like...
And from what I can tell, they hate the idea as well. So
Well, yeah, mostly.
Devalues his
What
friendship.
I think things we can do. I mean, perhaps we let you can change gang. We do have those clan chats that help you find a partner fairly easily. So perhaps we can make it a little bit easier to do. But I wouldn't want to stop you from. I wouldn't want to make it so you have to do it with
NPC?
just by yourself.
Okay.
Well, if the NPC charged a heck of a lot.
All right, one for you, Kieran. Plenty of hype around Group Ironman lately. Any idea when we'll hear more about this? Apparently you said we might do it to Bodhi.
We want to do it to Boaty.
What?
I've said on this stream before I'd love to do Group Ironman. As for hearing more about it, there's a lot more research that's got to be done into it yet before we can confirm anything, or if we're even doing it, right? It's a concept. I think most of us like the idea of the concept. Mm-hmm. There's discussions to be had. Obviously, this includes some not insignificant engine time as well. There are meetings ongoing about it, and we'll let you know as soon as we can tell you anything more.
It's one of the more popular new modes that's been suggested. I want to call it Iron Buddies. I see no one else does.
Not a fan. Judge says, you said you were going to rework Vedion. Is this still open for discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, I think
If they have something they wanted to discuss about it.
I think, yeah, well, everything. Everything about him, the way he looks, everything.
I didn't realise that Vetion was just the word Novite, an anagram of Novite.
Oh, quite.
From Dungeoneering in RS3.
What I don't get is the description about only the true Lord and King of the lands can lift his burden, and whether that's a reference to some cultural thing I don't know about. It's not a Game of Thrones thing, is it? I never saw
I don't
those.
think so.
Maybe he just Googled epic phrases. And that came up.
There's a website for everything.
There's one in the chat there from Dragon Lord says, is it
Lord of
possible...
the Rings reference.
Is it possible to move the ladder to the other side of the bank in Camelot for the agility course? Because many times I've clicked climb ladder, not climb wall. Oh.
I expect so.
The,
It's not
the
like
question's
anyone's using
gone.
It's on the left. I don't see a problem with that. It's not like we need the ladder for anything. Oh, it's got bigger.
Wingman says, can we get something to track clan KD during wilderness wars? Kind of like the CWA kill counter.
Would be nice, but we have very little code support for things involving chat channels. I don't think we'd be able to promise that one. Sorry.
All right.
Hey, if we ever get full clan support, then we could start tracking things on them because they actually supported that.
Still grabbing questions from the chat, but you're getting spammed into oblivion. Pick and choose. Happy Guy says, can we take away sharks from PVM drops? More sharks from drops other than skilling. More sharks from drops than skilling.
What currently does drop a lot of sharks?
Zora?
Does it drop noted sharks or noted raw sharks or something?
It's raw sharks, isn't it?
Fair enough. I
Correct me
think
if I'm wrong.
I think that is a reasonable request personally, because I mean the way I normally approach when I do a boss drop table anyway is they'll have food drops, but not noted food drops.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of unnoted food to help you extend your trip to be a lot longer.
Yeah,
and even then, we go for the obscure stuff like chili potatoes or summer pies, like Ziliana does, like random stuff that you never actually go and make to help you extend your trip a little bit. I mean, even monkfish is not the conventional food you go and take to a boss.
No.
So dropping a load of raw sharks, I don't personally like that.
Would you want to remove it?
I wouldn't mind removing it. Is there any other bosses that drop like a load of sharks?
I think we just go have a look and replace with something else.
I do prefer when we don't give too many resources from PVM and let resources come from the skills that are meant to generate them. Whereas if a resource is something you don't skill with, like picking flax or mining rune essence, the XP on those is 0 or naff. I don't mind giving those from PVM drops.
This is extremely controversial. Like the chat's normally like, all right, I can read something occasionally. Right now, it's just.
The thing is, this is one of those big discussions that obviously it's arguably one of the better drops to get from Zulrah. I mean, I imagine even more so for Ironman. That a lot of people have taken advantage out of it and have had the ability to do for a while. But I mean, fishing sharks, right? Fishing sharks, no one does it for XP. And if raw sharks aren't worth very much because you can just go to Zulrah and get 10 times as much in the same amount of time, I can see the issue. Maybe we replace it with a different kind of food that is less significant. I don't know. I mean,
Definitely worth going and
it's something
looking
you
at
can
the
also
drop
get.
tables.
It's also something you potentially get data on and look into.
I can see why Zulrah would have been generous with the fish, what with sitting in a kind of puddle of something.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you really get sharks out of that poison swamp, or at least not that you'd eat. On the other hand, there's a lot of it.
Speaking of obscure food, I liked the question the other day about how much does lean snail meat heal? And everyone was like, no idea whatsoever.
No one knew that one.
I still don't remember.
It was 8.
8, yeah.
Right. Last question before we get into an announcement. Then we have a little chatting to do about RuneFest. Fluga says, what was the reason for removing the Thermi safe spot?
Some bosses are meant to have safe spots, some aren't.
Yeah,
Thermi was never meant to have one.
The thing about the ones in the wilderness is that it may be a safe spot from the boss, but it's not all that safe, what with tending to be in multi-way wilderness. Whereas the one in Thermi's cave, maybe a little too good. And I believe you guys are having another look at the other safe spot in Thermi's.
Yeah, we removed one with this week's update, but players are very good at finding more things like that. They found another one, so...
There's a reason the KBD's room is kind of a square. And
we wanted to avoid doing another boring square boss room, but unfortunately, Fermi's Cave will next week be a boring square boss room.
Fortunately, you can do a lot by just making the walls stay wiggly, but you
Yeah,
use...
I've tried to throw in some pools of lava and stuff to make it not look quite as square, even though it is.
One of the best ones, I think, is the fight caves. Like, it's not square, but all the corners are 90 degrees. There's no little bumps.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like it. You've got this whole Italy rock, but the actual blocking, there's like a skeleton filling the spot, and all of a sudden you can't walk into it. But so it does the trick while not looking like it's square at all.
Scorpio's got a similar deal going on based on the feedback from some players who came to have a play with her before we launched her. Since Scorpio is really quite big, the players advised us to just fill out the corners of her room so that it wasn't so safe spottable.
Actually, fight caves is a funny example given the nature of the content that you safe spot literally everything. Although they have made the room designed so that it looks like you can't safe spot it naturally.
All right, guys, it's about that time. We're going to conclude things by speaking of RuneFest real quick. So we'd like your ideas on what you'd like to see from us at RuneFest, of course. Similar to one of the things I was saying earlier, I wanted to bring back a better and bigger RuneScape trivia. So probably including the audience for that, potentially even the Twitch chat, giving you guys options and to test your knowledge on RuneScape. So if you have anything like that, by all means, please send it to us at Old School RS on Twitter. In addition, we have an exciting announcement. Modstone, do you want to make sure I'm not missing anything here? We have the Dead Man tickets for the event coming up shortly in Los Angeles, going on sale any minute now.
Ooh.
10 minutes? 10 minutes from now. So if you're in and around the California area or want to travel there to attend the event, 20 minutes maybe?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh, geez,
okay.
okay. Well, there you go. Tickets are being on sale any minute now. And they're going to be on our Twitter. You can find those right off the bat. So again, if you want to attend that event, I think we're only going to sell 80 to 100 tops. And yeah, we're looking to have some of your favorite streamers on stage. You guys know the Dead Man events. It's going to be pretty spectacular, as usual. I think that's about all I had to say at the end there. I haven't missed anything. Nope. So RuneFest ideas and Dead Man tickets. There you have it, guys. That is going to conclude today's Q&A stream. Well, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week. Bye.